Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of TerraVentures. We're starting things off in the Games District, which as you can see has had a few changes. I think Panda did this a little bit. We have had a bit of water, we've changed the stone, we've changed the wood, and of course we've put in, what do you call this thing? We've put in redstone lamps instead of glowstone, which is, I think it's a pretty good change, and we're actually missing a bit. I extended this bit out and I forgot to put in one piece of water, so let me just quickly fix it up and then we'll continue on with our episode. Last episode we said we were going to build a maze. I've decided to shelve that idea for now, and as you can see I've changed this sign and put a fence up. We're going to build a big 2-in-1 game, so it'll be a hide and seek as well as capture the flag. So the idea here, if we can go into first person again, is to build a reasonably large area here, full of hiding spots, full of bits and bots, and it'll be complicated. It'll be lots of decorations. I'm thinking of making it kind of Western style, so there'll be a train, there'll be a saloon, there'll be a few bits, lots of places to hide, obviously, given the hide and seek spot, and also there'll be 2 team bases as well, 2 main areas where there's a base, and you need to go through it as well. So instead of having 2 different flags at 2 team spaces and you have to try and capture them, you will have to try and get find, I think 3 or so flags and bring them back to your own base, back at your base. So the 3 flags will be scattered throughout the area. For this, however, we're going to need a very large area, so let's mark off a little bit more space this way, and then we can work it out. So I think we're going to need leaves. Do I have leaves here? 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 Oh, okay, 8. No, that's not many. Do we have any shears? Not in here. Not in here. And of course not in here, which is a bit of an annoyance, but that shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so if we also craft ourselves some shears, we should be able to get ourselves not just enough leaves for this episode, but enough to finish off other projects that we're going to be doing as well. So let's get on this, and we need to make sure not to get rid of the other decorations that have been put in since we last left, especially this road that Storm put in and these trees that she also put in. So let's cut off some of these trees, given that we're going to be getting rid of these anyway. Right, now that we've cleared up this entire area, it's time to start planning out the entire thing, and I did think about where I want to do things. So I'm thinking there'll be a train along here, just like a simple, steam train, the engine up here, and a couple of coaches maybe back here. I'm thinking also that first one of the team bases will be back in this corner, and the other one will be in the corner up here. So that's just some of the plans. Then I'll have a bit of a station town in this area, and of course try to build lots of hidey holes so we can get, the hide and seek part of it going, and then the capture the flag. So team A base in one corner and the team B base in the other side. There'll only be 2 teams and only a set number of flags, so time to get started. So I think what I need to do first, and I've also cleared out and made sure this area is a little bit more correct with the road layout. So this will be quite a large area, but hopefully it'll be a nice fun game to play. So I think first off we should build a platform, which means we need to get some wood, some stone or concrete or green terracotta. I think would be good for the engine as well. So I'm going to look up a couple of tutorials, a couple of pictures, figure out how I'm going to do this, and start building. Bit of an update for you guys. I've built quite a bit of this thing. I've built the 2 team bases, so we've got Team Red in this far corner over here, and then Team Blue over here. What I'm thinking though is that this thing is not quite big enough. It already is quite a large area, but I don't think it's going to be quite big enough. And the main reason for that is I've already built this big railway station here, and this thing is going to be quite hard to get to, given that the train is going to get to around here or something. So that would mean the only way to access this team base would be to come along here, enter through here, and it might mean that the blue base is a little bit less advantaged than the red base, which is definitely not what I want. So with that in mind, I'm thinking I need to push back this back wall back quite a bit further. So let's just jump over the fence or chop out the fence and get over there. Let's have a look. So this thing will need to come back quite a bit more, and it does mean that this thing is probably taking up a lot more land than I probably should, but hopefully the game will be fun to play, because that's the entire point of it, just to have some fun, have fun building, of course, and have fun playing. Now, as I said, this is going to be a capture the flag game. I have hidden one of the flags, and it is in these buildings over here. The entire point is to try and be a little bit hidden, so I'm not going to show you exactly where it is, but to suffice to say that one of these buildings may have one, and one of them may not. So the flags are all, they're not coloured, and they are going to be these illager banners, which I have quite a few of. So that will also get rid of those. They're going to be hidden quite well, because another idea I had was to hide one somewhere around here. But the general idea is the two teams will be coloured in their coloured leather armour, and they will have to go out hunting for the flags, and you have to collect more than half of them to win. So hopefully we can get that, and of course you will need to go and invade the other team's base, so it's all a bit of strategy as well. The more players, the more strategy there might be. There might be players camping at their base to defend the flag while the others go out hunting, but in a two-player game that might not be the best strategy. We're going to have to see how the game gets played out. So we're going to definitely build this up, and hopefully it'll be done by today's episode ends. Now that I've flattened this entire area, and I've now moved the blue base just a bit back, the terraforming there isn't brilliant, but it's really the best I can do, or I just had enough of digging. All this over here was all mountainous. But anyway, now that I've finished that off, I'm thinking of putting a river through here, just a man-made river obviously, just circling through here, and to find probably a little crevice in there somewhere where I can put another flag. The entire point of this thing is to hide flags, so I need to build quite a few things as well. So I am thinking the bottom of the river can be out of gravel or maybe sand, and it is going to go a little way down with lots of bends and a couple, of course, of crevices where there could be a flag and will not be. I am still trying to figure out where to put a steam train in here that will also be a hiding place for a flag somewhere. So hopefully I can build this thing up. There's still quite a few things to go, but I'm thinking these flowers along here and the tall flowers, the rose and the peony I think it is, will be useful. And there's a creeper. Let's get rid of that before it blows things up. I really shouldn't have put these lilacs here because they disguise the entrance. But anyway, let's continue on. Let's plan out the river as well, because I think that would be a simpler project than the steam train or laying out the rest of this build around here. So we'd want it to start somewhere over here, I reckon. Let's go 5 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a bit more than 5. And pick it up and then continue on. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. There we go. So from here we'll wind round, probably bump this end here, go under the railway line and end somewhere near those stables over there, so it's nice and curvy. Rightio, this river is now done. I'm not entirely happy with it. It just looks a little flat, I reckon, but perhaps that's just a bit of the thing that's going on with the entire thing. It's just a little bit flat. I'm not entirely happy with it, as I say, but there is a skeleton down there. But there is a few places where I can hide a few flags, maybe just one. I have managed to harvest a bit of seagrass. Hopefully that makes it a bit better. So what I think I'll do now, and I built a bridge as well. I think what I'll do now is, with the oak logs in my inventory and a bit more stuff here and there, I'll plan out a couple of the buildings, or maybe all of the buildings, and start putting up the road in between them. Where's dark oak or oak? Spruce, none in here. I'm sure I had some in here. This is the problem with my organizational skills here. Just dump everything into the chest and I'll find it eventually. Yeah, not good, not good. But anyway, our plan is to put in a few plans of houses, so just the outskirts of them with the logs. and hopefully we can get an idea of what we're going to do. So we'll have the main road come round through here, cycle round, end in here, come across through here. The idea is to have a rather close-knit town, although the train station is maybe a bit too big. I don't know if I'll keep this or not. And then over here we'll have a little bit more of the same, and just generally a rather compact place. Lots of places to hide, lots of places to ambush people, and lots of places to hide flags. And of course we'll put the big steam train in as well, so we're probably going to have to build the houses reasonably tall to make it to scale with the train. But yeah, that's something to come in the future. And as you can see, we've got ourselves 2 new buildings, and one of them is this one over here, which we'll get to second, and this one here, which I built first. We've got our furnaces and anvil. This is supposed to be a blacksmith. We've got our little fire forge here. We've got cauldrons, which we'll later use, and we've got, of course, the living quarters and bedroom up here. I did think about putting a flag in here in the chest, but I think that's a little bit cheating. I'm not entirely sure. Now, the room does look a little bit plain, but we'll come over to this building first. And this one does, again, look a little bit plain. Actually, do I have... Yes, I do. I've got some of those in here. What if we did something like this on the top? Yeah, immediately that does look a lot better, actually. So if we come in here, again, we've got a double-story house with a two triangle things. We've got ourselves a bedroom, another thing. And we've got ourselves, if we can get down here, a small living area. Now this room does look a little bit plain. I suppose I could put some carpet in as well, conveniently prepared. And we want just 9, I think. 9 would fit perfectly. So there, even just with the carpet, that looks a lot more of a full room, a lot better. It doesn't have a kitchen or anything, but that's really not the point of these houses. We do the same over here. That should work nicely. 4, 6, 4, I'm not sure. Maybe just a couple of pieces in here to make it look good. So that's 2 parts done, and there's a couple of spaces for flags to be hidden. So at the moment I've got 3 flags hidden in this area, one of which you probably have seen already, but the other 2 are so far hidden. Now the entire point of this thing is I'm going to have maybe 15 to 20 different hiding spots, but at any point in time in any game there'll only be about 7 or so flags in play, so you have to look through every single hiding place to find them. I gotta be honest, I'm sort of running out of ideas for these houses. There's only so many ways you can build these designs without getting repetitive, and I did do a lot of them last season in that world which we had, so it's sort of hard to come up with some unique designs, although this one I think I'm onto a winner here. The idea is to have a rather tall roof and a stone gutter, I suppose you could call it, and then a wooden roof to give it a little bit of different from this. The trouble is trying to get the right height. I'm not sure I've got the dimensions of this right, and I need to fit it in with this area here to make sure that the red base doesn't get disturbed at all. So that's a little bit tricky here. And then on this side I've got to make sure that the road fit nicely. And once again I'm out of inventory room. Let's dump this here. Dump the things I don't need and continue on. But yes, just a few ideas I'm starting to run out of, and there's still a whole lot more land to do. I suppose I should start by thinking what else is there to put in a town. So I've got a few houses. I've got a blacksmith. I suppose I could put a butcher. What else should I put in? I'll have to look that up. But yeah, a butcher, maybe a bank, maybe a few other things to find. So yes, I'll have a look at what would go in a medieval town and lay out a few more places. And we've made quite a bit more progress since the last time I actually recorded. I thought I'd put a clip in between, but apparently not. So we have put in this house. I changed up the design a little. It is empty in the middle, and I'll explain that in a second why. So here we got rid of our frame, and we're just going to have some ruined houses here. So this, hopefully, after I've got rid of all the chests, will be a bit ruined, and hopefully I can hide a flag in there. Over here we've built this one here, once again just empty, completely empty, and I put in a few more garden plots with places to hide flags. So if we just sink ourselves down, there's definitely somewhere in here which we can hide one. Let's get ourselves up and continue on. Okay, good, we didn't destroy one. From here, we've got ourselves a water tower, or a tower of some sort, and there is definitely a way to get in there, but I'm not going to show you because then that would be cheating. Or it wouldn't be cheating, it would be too big an advantage. And anyway, we've got ourselves another thing here. We've got an ex-member of the realm called Kremergar to come in for a bit and build this, so thank you to him. And we've got ourselves another ruined house. Yes, I used diorite. Yes, it may not look the best, but I think it sort of fits this. It's supposed to be a burnt out house, I think, because, yeah, just a bit burnt out. You can see it's overgrown. There's a campfire there just to give a bit of smoke. There's a few places in which flags can be hidden. And we've got ourselves a market hole, or a bit of a market stall. Let's sleep. So there we go. And I put ourselves a little forest here, which might actually spawn monsters, but we need to be a little bit careful of that. And there we go. So we've still got around a few more bits to build, but hopefully this shouldn't take long. And of course, I've got this one here, once again, even emptier than the others. So quite a bit more work to do, but the idea is to finish off the houses and then do the interiors, and then we'll, if we can figure it out, how to build a train. I did think about just doing train carriages because I just want to be able to hide something down here rather than anything else. So that is the idea there. So with that big progress update done, let's finish off the rest of these houses. And a little while later, as night finally falls, on this game, I finally finished off the buildings, or at least the outside of the buildings. I finally got a little bit lazy and just put a bit of a hill here and the forest there, so it's just a little bit different. Most of these buildings here do not really have anything inside them, so that's something to be working on. But functionally, at least, the game is complete. It's ready to be played. I just need to work out a few more hiding spots. So each of these buildings probably have one. There'll probably be one in here as well. So let's work out. We need to figure out what we're going to do with each of these buildings. Just probably a bit of carpet, a bit of lighting hopefully, and just a few things to make it a little bit more of a maze to work out. And of course I've put in a couple of these train carriages. I didn't put an engine on them. No. Good. Whew. I didn't put an engine on it because I figured that would be just a little bit too complicated and probably block up this area, which I do want accessible. So that's just a little bit different to what I was planning. But these things are just a little bit like this, and even though the flag will be pretty obvious if it is in here, the idea of this is just to make it a little bit harder a little bit more tiresome to look through as well. And a little bit, just something that you have to look through to get to make sure that there are no flags in there. And of course you need to make sure. And as you can see, I've written up the rules. So the rules: divide into 2 equal teams, go into your bases, put out the colour of the armour, either the red or the blue. Find more than half the flags and put them in your team base to win. So since there are 9 flags hidden, there will be 5. PvP is allowed with unlimited respawns, but you can only use unenchanted iron swords, which I need to put into the bases, or bows and crossbows with normal arrows, which I also need to put into the 2 bases. So that is pretty much done. So what I think I'll do is I'll not get killed by a skeleton. I will decorate the rest of these buildings later or off camera, and in the next episode or 2 we should be able to play a game and play test this thing, make sure it actually is good, because I'm not really certain that having the blue base over here where there's very few or fewest places for flags is a good idea. So we're going to have to make sure that the flags are more or less evenly hidden between the 2 bases. And then we also need to make sure that we clean up the heap of empty chests, or heap of chests that are over by the ruins near the red base. So that's a few things that need to be done, but unfortunately that is all I've got time for today. After about 2 weeks of recording this thing, I finally finished, so hopefully it is enjoyable. Hopefully we get to play this game in the near future. So if you have liked this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep watching out for the next one. Goodbye.